Giant Citizen Kabuto is a very odd story. 16 years ago, this now legendary game was born and developed by Planet Moon and published by Interplay. Although it didn't sell well initially, critic reviews were incredibly high, and over time, Giants garnered a fiercely cult following, and I was one of them. This was my generation. And now it's available on Steam for all PC players. But Giants never sold well outside the obsessively niche player base, on the Windows platform nor on consoles. It was a game ahead of its time, both in its ideas and its gameplay. In its most basic form, Giants is a third-person shooter with real-time strategy elements folded in. So now I'm going to bring you the review of the game that was brought back to life on Steam.
Reggie, I hear you're quite the man about toon.
Oh, you know, trying to give myself a little taste now and then.
You dirty wee bastard!
Back in 2000, very few games challenged the paradigm of traditional video game genres. Games stuck to what they were good at, and only rarely a game came along to defy that custom. But Giants was one of them, standing next to Deus Ex and a handful of other original IP. Before men climbed down from the trees to shop in megastores and drink cappuccino, before the earth wadded itself into a cool blue ball, before the moon even existed, there was the island. In Giants, your home is the island, a massive fragment of a long-lost planet hurling itself blindly through space. Although paradise at first glance, it's a dangerous place to be. Three very distinct species occupy the island: the Kabuto, the Sea Reapers, and our trusty friends, the mechs. Searching the planets and the stars for their missing friends, the mechs, as you probably guessed, crash-landed onto the island as space castaways. But like all intruders, their presence is very much unwelcome to the native Kabuto and the Reapers, and the tenuous fighting between them. The story of Giants is a fusion of these three separate race stories combined into a single storyline, and you'll spend several missions with each race as the story unfolds. The game begins with the player taking control of the mechs as they try to reassemble their scattered group of friends after the crash landing. You are treated to some hilarious dialogue and a cutscene that would look good next to any Michael Bay movie. And thus begins your time with Giants Citizen Kabuto. Welcome to the island. When you first step out of your aircraft, you'll get your first glimpse of the island. Friendly and not so friendly indigenous life roam around the land under the rule of an evil queen and her magic-wielding reapers and their guards. Wildlife is out to get you too. Danger is always present, yet it sits right next to such beauty. The waters glisten, the sun radiates with light, and the tree branches sway in the wind. But there is nigh time for drooling over the beauty, because it's time to find your friends and get off this island. You begin the game as Baz, laser gun in hand and British cheeky humor in the other. He's a mech, and these guys shoot machine guns, throw grenades, plant bombs, and use jetpacks for a limited flight. They're also an organized lot. You can command your fellow mechs to defend, attack, and retrieve, making them formidable and fun to play. You'll spend several missions and hours playing as Baz, growing your mech army, building bases, and commanding your buddies to do your bidding. You can also capture native creatures called Smarties to bring home to your base and do your bitch work as long as you continue to feed them vent meat, collected on the island from, you guessed it, Vemps. If you fail to collect proper amounts of this delicious meat, the little smarty bastards will protest and refuse to work for you. But if you're good to your little slaves, eventually you'll be able to build a party house. Yeah, I'm not kidding, it's literally called a party house. And that will permanently feed your Smarties and give you a host of kick-ass deployable weapons and defenses. So Giants is all about this blending of gameplay with the mechs. The first-person shooter combat, the resource gathering, the base building, and the exploration. But be careful, Kabutos roam the island. But it's the Sea Reapers, represented as the main antagonists of the game, that you'll often be in conflict with. Once you complete the section of the campaign devoted to the mechs, you'll move on to what a lot of people consider the most enjoyable section of the game, the Reapers. You'll be playing as Delphi, who was genetically created by the Queen to be the purest form of a Sea Reaper. She's a deadly, damn near naked avatar lookalike who can travel at insane speeds and use special abilities to absolutely wreck enemies. But you'll still be base building as Delphi, which is why the mechs and the Reapers are at odds with each other. They're competing over those bastard Smarties. And the Kabuto is attempting to eat those Smarties, growing in the process and providing itself as a mobile base. It's a joyous romp of 100% destruction with the Kabuto. So it's a battle of resources between these three races. It's a wonderful and natural asymmetry that establishes itself as the primary game feature. As a result, in multiplayer and in single player, the mech team is always the largest to compensate for the fact that the individual units are the weakest. It's under a similar umbrella as Aliens vs Predators, if you remember that game, or Evolve. games where power differences can be equalized by tipping the scales of how many players occupy each team. Do people like this, or was it the reason that Giants never took off though? It's 2016 and this game still looks good. That's saying a lot for a 16-year-old game. It's all in the little details, the unbelievably atmospheric music, the faint sounds of the strange dinosaur-looking birds that gently fly overhead, and the whispering sounds of the water hitting the sand. But it's much more than that. It's also the tiny slide animation when you go down a hill, completely unnecessary but such a welcome touch. Fully featured destruction and the cutscenes that just drip with this humor, polish, and a real sense of cinema. Such forward thinking went into the camera angles and the cinematography here. Unfortunately, bugs rear their ugly head in Giants as they did in the past. This game has not been redone. This is not a remake or an HD upgrade. This is the game as it was 16 years ago for the most part. And it comes with bugs and some pretty poor optimization. Although it's been improved, you will spend some time in the graphics options menu. Secondly, let's address the elephant in the room, Interplay. Where is the quick save feature? It was missing 16 years ago and it's still missing today. Some of the missions in this game can take over an hour, and if you don't properly strategize from the start and manage your NPCs well, you could easily have to replay many of the game's missions. The idea behind Giants is a gentle mission progression, and that negatively impacts the pacing of the game because players have to restart missions a bunch. What they do have, however, is an auto-save feature peppered at various points in the levels. I can't remember if this was in the original base game, but if not, it is a welcome addition all things considered. But it's a shame that these two things, the two things that would have easily fixed the only two glaring issues with the game, weren't ironed out. Giants attempts to blur the line between strategy and action games, and it embraces imbalance in the best possible way. It's so very hard to know the cash value of fond memories, as often nostalgia gets in the way of our better judgment. But in the case of Giants, those memories are today's realities. It's because the game is so goddamn good. We need to spread the word about the Steam version of Giants because nobody at Interplay thought it would be a good idea to say anything to anybody about releasing it, and that's stupid. So I ask that you guys share this video with all your gaming friends because we need to build the PC community so we can all enjoy this game together. And if you enjoyed this video, by all means hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you dig our format, and have a kick-ass day guys.